Welcome back everybody, this is Grace, and today we're going to be taking on Anim's little Reme D with 0 stats. But before I do that, I'm going to have to run you through the process a little bit. Now, 0 stat Reme D, there's going to be a lot of things we need to do. We need to overcome the MRM she can have. It does peak at a low of 39, but goes to a high of like 130, 140. We need to overcome the HP bar, we need to overcome the MP bar, and we need to not die. Now, one thing you might notice is 0 stats use a lot of auto hit tech. So let's say I attack her with an auto hit weapon, I deal 2 little hits. Now you'll notice, 1, she regenerates 162 HP, and she regenerates about 78 SP. Now that's 2 forms of HP regeneration because Reme D always has a chi shield, which is about 1-to-1, very roughly 1-to-1. So if we assume that she's regenerating 78 SP worth of HP and 150 HP worth of HP, I have to deal about 200 damage, 250 damage just to break even. As you can see now, I'm barely weakening her SP bar. Very, very slowly, and that's even before the health regen kicks in because obviously her health isn't going down. So what I need on 0 stat is a reliable way to do damage every turn. One way I thought to do that was a permanent status. Let's use Nightfall Heroic Grasp. This inflicts a permanent dark burn. Even on the 2-hit armor, it'll inflict a power 2 burn. That'll help me out, right? What you'll find is, well, let's assume I hit first. Please hold while we hit our first attack. The foe does not actually take. So the dark burn did inflict, but most permanent statuses, when you do 0 damage to a monster, don't inflict. So I need to find a way to get rid of the SP bar so that I can do non-zero damage and then inflict my status. If I use Jeanne, for example, you'll see I hit 0 and it doesn't even attempt to inflict the prismatic burn because of course I haven't dealt real quote-unquote damage, so it doesn't attempt the prismatic burn. So what I need as my 0 stat method is a way to deal enough damage to overcome that SP bar and then inflict my permanent statuses. Now some permanent statuses work when you do 0 damage, but they're few and far between and I feel like it's kind of buggy. So I am going to attempt to actually deal positive damage when I'm inflicting my permanent statuses, and then hopefully overcome her regen by stacking more and more burn, prismatic burn, random element poison from the Vorteforge weapon, and see if we can overcome her base regen with those effects. Now there are other obstacles to overcome, including her damage per turn, her ramping Elevuln, and her permanent regen, but mainly her ramping Elevuln. That's the big thing I have to worry about. So one thing about her is that her ramping Elevuln inflicts even if it does 0 damage. So I thought about using barriers or using baby egg, but that alone will not be enough to keep me safe from the ramping Elevuln. So instead, what I've developed is Multiplicatively Twilly Guest, which will give me a small amount of status resistance and the Diversity Defender Shield. So your shield will now use some of your spirit to bolster your status resistance at the end of your turn. Let's see how much it is. Let's also use Essence Orb because I want to go into the fight with full SP. But yeah, let's just attack, and you can see that I gain 10 status resistance and then 7.65 from the Franken Twilly Guest. So that gives me a 17% chance higher to resist status when otherwise I would be at a very significant disadvantage. So that will help me take less ramping damage. I'm also going to use Baby Egg to reduce my damage taken from the attacks. It'll work very well, and I've also got the All-Seeing Eye of the Sacrigon ready to go. So with that being said, let's load into the fight. Now you might be thinking, well, you've got your defense sorted. Once you start inflicting your permanent statuses, you'll have your damage sorted. But how are you going to inflict those permanent statuses when you can't even get her through her SP bar? So, first, let's turtle up a little bit. And second, I'm going to explain. Now, I know I just said I'm going to turtle up, but I'm actually going to switch out of this fully defensive armor and switch into very infamous armor, Kindred. Now, you'll notice I have 27 stacks. That was an accident. I meant to have 0. What I'm going to be doing is tanking her damage in Kindred and using Focus to build Kindred charges. Now, Kindred armor, I believe, is actually balanced somewhat well. When you focus, you gain the right amount of value in terms of stacks. But the thing is, you can pre-charge it, which makes it super OP because you can nuke anything with 5 turns worth of power in a single turn. But if I'm charging it into battle, it's relatively balanced. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to just be focusing, and I need 2 or 3 Kindred Strikes worth of damage to overcome her SP bar. Then I will be able to inflict those permanent statuses. Then I'll be able to overcome her base SP regen and base health regen, and hopefully win the battle. Now we're running the status resistance shield and guest. We've still taken 15% in terms of permanent Elevuln, so it's a bit of a problem. Another potential option is using Nuclear Wear Dragon Breath, or whatever it's called, and then using the Energy Common Gift Box. I think it's the commander's... It's an anti-Lycan weapon, essentially, and what it does is against were creatures, it makes you take 20 status posts, or 20 status resistance, excuse me. So it really bolsters your ability to resist those statuses from the boss, but I thought that was a bit cheesy and a bit unnecessary. I don't think we should be needing it anytime soon. I think the defensive setup with the -10 resistance misc taking me to 3 water resistance, along with Baby Egg and the status resistance items, that'll reduce... Oh, whoops, didn't mean to attack. But that will give me enough time to... defenses, resources, to effectively manage her damage intake. So, depending on my rolls with the Elevuln, so far only at 25% increased damage, should be a-okay if I don't get super unlucky with the rest of these. But what I'm going to be doing is aiming for exactly 600 stacks, because that will be 3 Kindred Strikes worth of damage, and I think that will be enough to burst through her SP bar with a specific weapon. Now we're going to use Soul Gauntlet here. I'm trying to avoid using Essence Orb if I can, because Essence Orb is viewed as pretty cheesy, and if you only kick it a few times a turn, I mean, what's the big deal, but whatever, I'm doing this for my own personal enjoyment. But here we are, we're at 400 stacks. One thing you may not know about Kindred is it stacks it gets more stacks per focus the more items you have of the set, but it also gets more stacks of focus if you have the appropriate level of strength trained. I have 0 strength, obviously, because I have 0 stats, so I'm not getting 40 stacks, I'm getting 30 stacks per focus, whereas normally you'd get 40. We're going to use another set of Soul Gauntlet. Now we're getting a bit low on HP, but we should be a-okay. This Twilly is also healing us up about as much as the monster deals per turn. Well, a little bit less. Okay, so something's happened. We've gone to 200% Elevuln, so we may not be able to make it this fight. And if that's the case, we may have to resort to... that Nuclear Wear Dragon Breath, plus that one energy weapon, which gives you 20 status resistance. But she's almost out of mana, and I'm going to use Soul Gauntlet one more time here. Perfect. And so 2 more focuses. Well, 1 more focus after this should do it. Okay, and I believe she's out of mana to cast her spells with. Alright, perfect. So now we can remove Malibu Twilly, which was a SP tax on us. We have 600 stacks, so now is the perfect time to get right into it. The way we're going to be getting through her Chi Shield is with Lyre of Lyrics. This is a 6-hit 100 proc. You might be thinking, Grace, doesn't it not matter how many hits you have because you're not doing any real damage to her, so her clawback and damage cap won't affect the damage you do to her SP? That may be true, but what I have certainly noticed is that lower hit counts do seem to do less damage, so it seems like the damage is still affected by the soft damage cap. Even when it's not the HP damage, it's the SP damage through Chi Shield. But we're going to be using Kindred Strike. We're going to hope that 3 strikes is enough. Ooh, with that RNG it might not be. We might have to revisit the strategy. But let's hope we get pump some numbers here. Okay, so we're definitely not going to burn through the SP shield like this. But that was 4 hits. Let's see if we can break through it. Okay, so now we're going to switch to Gale Force Argent Point, which is auto hit, and this is a 1-hit armor, so we don't really want to use that. We're going to use Typhon Shard, which is a 2-hit armor, and we're also going to use a random Wind Guest on Banneret. This will tax my SP a good amount, but I think the extra hits will come in handy, even if a mass majority of them are misses. Because we really do need to bust through that SP shield before we can do any real damage to the boss. Unfortunately, we did run into one of the bugs with Reme D, which is the soft lock. I'm not too concerned about it though, because I do think I want to refine the method a little bit and use that Wear Dragon Breath strategy I was talking about. Get that extra status bones so we don't have a 200% Elevuln on ourselves after the end of the fight, or by the time I have to continue the fight. So I'll pause this clip here, come back with a slightly different setup, and I'll see you there. Okay, so we're back. Slightly different setup, and we should be good to go. Slime Barrier, FD Armor on the first turn. Technically we should use this weapon because it reduces your MRM a little bit. Not really a concern, but you never know. And here's where we start the reset meta. So first what we're going to do is manipulate our accuracy for ranged. We're going to attack with a level 25 version of 100 proc with 6 hits. Also comes with the base -10 BTH lean. We're also going to use Grokmahorn for a further -15. And we're going to attack. This should result in 5 or 6 misses. You can also attack when she's right in the well. What this is going to do is increase my ranged lean. Now I have plus 33 BTH. Now what I'm going to do is use Sunburst Amulet, boost my dexterity a little bit, and just simply cast Wear Dragon Breath, Bride Lord, and Spotter Drake out, and hopefully inflicts. Also, I forgot to use Diversity Defender, now I will. All good. Let's use Wear Dragon Breath and hope it inflicts. So, we run into the same problem with Wear Dragon Breath as we do with the other permanent statuses, which is it doesn't inflict if you deal 0 damage. So unfortunately, we're going to have to bin that strategy because unless we pre-charge Kindred, we cannot get the SP down quickly enough to use Wear Dragon Breath to resist the statuses. So I'll be right back resetting the kill. We're going to ditch the Wear Dragon Breath and go with the same strategy as before. Okay. So I'm simply going to speed up the clip, me charging Kindred up to 600 stacks and taking the water damage, tanking. Should be pretty relaxed, shouldn't be anything too crazy. Should be pretty chill. Let's see, first turn, we're all set. I'll see you when I'm done charging and when Reme D is out of mana. Okay, here we are. We finished getting to that section. She's out of MP. She can no longer do her MP Elevuln attack. We're only taking 1.7x damage, so we're in pretty good hands. Now, full disclosure, I turned my computer off 2 days ago, have not opened this client since. Don't remember exactly what was going on or what I was doing. But for the first thing, we don't need Reme D anymore, because that was just for status resistance. We do still need the baby egg. And what I'm going to be doing now is making sure my ranged BTH lane is exactly where I want it. Now, because I'm using 0 stats, and I'm attacking a boss with variable but pretty high MRM, I want my ranged accuracy to be really high. I can do that using the ranged base mechanic, which the more you miss, the higher your accuracy but lower your damage goes. The more you hit, the lower your accuracy but higher your damage goes. I'm going to miss on purpose. Now the way to do that is to use, you might notice I have gold emitting and gold spraying Gatling. This is a level 25 version, this is a level 150 version. Using the level 25 version will give me 6 hits that are very inaccurate. Using the summon Legion Fenrir, toggling it to berserk mode, and then unsummoning it will give me minus 15 BTH as well. So now I should attack, I should miss at least 4-5 hits. Okay, I missed 4, I hit 2, so we'll see how that goes. Let's check my plus 15 BTH. That's not quite enough for me. So I'm gonna summon Legion Fenrir one more time, because you have to do it every turn if you're not gonna actually keep it out. Berserk player. Let's attack one more time, see where my BTH goes. Oh, you know what? I'm wasting my shield too. I don't need my shield, I need this shield. There we go. Let's check. 44 BTH. That is actually perfect. That's right what I'm aiming for. Now I will use the gold spraying Gatling, which is the weapon I actually want to use. And I'll use Kindred, which has 600 stacks that I stacked up during that earlier kill. Let me make sure I don't need anything else equipped. I kind of forgot what I was doing, so that's why I'm like being really careful with my items and making sure I know exactly what I've got. I think that's all I need. We're going to use Kindred Strike when it reaches the peak. When it reaches like halfway up the peak. Okay, perfect. So we hit all 6 times. That's exactly what we want to happen. And now we're going to do the same thing again. We hit 5 out of 6 times. We should be able to break through the SP shield on this 3rd attack. That being said, let's check what my BTH lane is. Only plus 5, so now I really need to hit. Oh my gosh, 127. Please tell me that's enough. Okay, so you know what? We are going to... I think I used Brain Wreck and 17th Birthday Cake already. Yeah, it needs time to recharge. Okay. So we're going to get some SP back using our healing resistance armor. And shield. 4 clicks only. We're only doing 4 clicks a turn. Then we're going to go to Jeanne. Yeah, actually, you know what? We're going to go back to Kindred. We're going to use the Skeeter guest. This is an HP cost guest, so it won't drain my SP as much, which I need to save, so that's good. And then we are going to actually go to Overflowing Typhon Shard. And we're just going to attack with this weapon, and hopefully we will miss an equal amount of hits that we hit. And that will slowly take our ranged ramping down. Okay, so our SP is regenerating. Oh, I'm wearing an energy shield. That could have been bad. I don't think I need to heal because I've got a potion, but so that's a big blunder in this kill. I used an energy shield at a critical moment. What's my ranged BTH boost here? We'll drink a potion. Let's not be silly. We've got all the time in the world to fix this blunder. $28 BTH. I think that should be enough. Let's Make sure we're using the spraying Gatling. We are. Perfect. And let's just attack at the peak of the arc. So I'm hitting for 0, unfortunately. Oh, you know what? We've got the mana shield that we're working through. So the SP shield is not damaging any SP. So we're going to have to break through that mana shield first, which is really unfortunate. So we might need 4 Kindred Strikes in our next attempt. Maybe even 5, to be honest. But let's just see what happens here. Still 150. Okay, 109. So let's see if we can passively break through the SP here with this full damage setup. We have 28 left on the HP berry, which means we can start damaging the SP again. Perfect. And then the mana shield is only 14 HP a turn. We're already damaging SP. Okay, I think it might be doable. Also, for some reason, the animation timing is working out really well for Skeeter to attack on low resistances. But it's going pretty low here. But I don't want to attack with Bun Banneret, because I think Bun Banneret's fast attacking animation is part of what causes the soft locks that occurred in one of my earlier attempts. Okay, we're going to have to drink a potion here, which is a bummer, but... Oh my gosh, we're so close. We are this close. Let's check my range ramping lean. 28 BTH, that's perfect. Let's miss a couple of these. Oh, I didn't miss any. I missed one. Oh, you know what? We're just going to risk it. Okay. We're finally damaging HP. Range BTH is plus 15. What I'm going to do, use Left Struck Scope. And Shen Ya. So what we're going to do for Shen Ya is we're going to have Pride Lord for some potency. Oh, I unsummoned it by mistake. Pride Lord for some potency. I kind of want Baby Egg though. Spotter Drake for some potency. Screw it. Actually, you know what? We're using Celerity, so I don't need to worry about that. I forgot I did the Celerity, even though I did that like 2 seconds ago. And Sunburst Amulet. It's a lot of potency. If we hit any hits at all, we should inflict. So I just have to wait till it's about to be at the top of the arc like this. Oh, it's perfect! Yes! Foe consumed by Purifying Rainbow Flames. So that's 1 permanent status inflicted. Next, we're going back to Overflowing Typhon Shard, back to Slime Barrier, don't forget our Water Shield this time, and unsummon Pride Lord. Okay. Back to Baby Egg. Back to All-Seeing Eye of the Sacrigon. Alright. And I think what we're going to do here is I want to inflict this multi-element poison, because that can heal me when it damages her, with the imbue from Voidforged, but I don't think we have the resources yet. So I'm going to turtle, but instead of turtling with a random weapon, I'm going to turtle with a ranged Prismatic Burn weapon. The reason I'm using ranged weapons is because ranged are the only weapons that I can randomly, arbitrarily hit with higher accuracy with, because of the base behavior of dexterity. Which, again, as I said, the more you miss, you get higher BTH, the more you hit, you get lower BTH. So because of my miss to hit ratio, my BTH is constantly going up, so even though I'm on 0 stat, I can hit with these status weapons. Now, I don't have, perhaps, like if I attack at the bottom of our arc, I don't have a great chance of hitting. But what I'm doing is I'm slowly building up the power of my Prismatic Burn by hitting these hits. Even if my inflict chance is low, because I have semi-reliable accuracy, which is normally hard to get on a 0 stat build, I can still build up a more powerful status. And now I'm just going to do that while I patiently wait for my SP to regenerate, and because I've inflicted the Prismatic Burn, that takes away her SP every turn, so now I don't have to worry about breaking through the SP shield, and I can just worry about actually hitting her with accurate hits, and sometimes I will get a Prismatic Burn infliction. Now, to be truthful, you don't actually need 4 permanent statuses. I could go with just Prismatic Burn, or just Fire Burn from the Heroic Titan, or just Dark Burn from the Nightfall Heroic Titan. But I think it's more fun to use multiple statuses, so right now I'm just waiting for my SP to go up, and although it kind of breaks the spirit of doing a really challenging 0 stat challenge, I might drink an HP potion, and use some Essence Orb to just make this process a little faster, so I can afford the imbue a little more easily. Okay, we're going to use Essence Orb 4 more clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is actually one part that I really wanted to show you. So I just hyped up how important ranged attacks are for inflicting statuses because I need my accuracy to be good. You might notice this is a melee weapon. This is a melee weapon. How am I going to hit with them reliably in melee? The thing is, I'm not going to be able to. It would be near impossible. But if you look at what I've got going on here, let's summon Pride Lord and Spotter Drake. Let's toggle on the weapon from where do my awakens. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to Fey Touched Knight's Regalia. This is an armor with a water ranged locked weapon based skill. Because it's weapon based, it will still trigger the weapon effect. Because it's ranged locked, it'll use my scuffed accuracy, which is currently 5.67. So actually, you know what? I'm going to wait a turn. And I'm not going to do it yet. I'm going to arbitrarily boost my accuracy in the fully defensive setup. So back to Baby Egg we go. We're going to use the level 25 range 0 proc, 6 hits, and we're going to attack when she's low on the arc. And we're going to use Legion Fenrir for that Berserk. Okay. So it should be at least 4 misses. 6 misses. Perfect. My BTA should be in the 40-50 range here if I'm not mistaken. 66, even better. So 0.358 damage, but we don't need to deal any more damage than 1 to inflict our status. So now we go to Fey Knight's Regalia, Heroic Titan's Grasp, Pride Lord, and ideally I would use a Burn Potency Mist, but I don't want to take damage. Spotter Drake. And we're going to use this also gives you a tiny bit of status potence, which is nice, and we're going to just go for it. Oh, that animation is so slow. Your weapon's power is burned to your foe. Alright, so that's awesome. Let's do it one more time. So you noticed I was healing her for water damage. And the status still inflicted. That happens with a lot of status weapons. You might think it's a little peculiar. Some would argue it is a little peculiar. But now we have a power 4 fire burn. Let's try and do the same thing over here. Also, the animation takes a long time, so I'm going to do it now. Let's see if that works. Perfect. Its power is burned to your foe. Did we get a dark burn? We got a dark burn. Okay, so now we've got a dark burn, we've got a fire burn, we've got a prismatic burn. I'm going to go back to the fully defensive setup and turtle a little bit, excuse me, not tunnel. And I think I'm just going to use Boreal Cavalier Glaive because the other options all cost SP. We should slowly heal SP and in theory slowly heal HP with the Slime Barrier Shield. Buying the regen potion would have been a clever move here because I really am going to be taking this fight crazy slow. But we're going to slowly build up the damage over time effects, and let's take a quick look. Okay, so we dealt the burn, the fire and darkness burn, I think did 0 damage, unless the fire burn came after. But what you can see is the dots are first burning through her passive SP, then very slowly whittling down her HP, so I don't even have to do damage myself anymore. I could sit back and relax and do nothing, and she'd still eventually die. So that is pretty much the method I wanted to show you. 0 stats come with a lot of conditions, but you can use resources to give yourself an advantage. In the initial fight, I gave myself an advantage in status resistance, so that I could only take 170% damage instead of like 400%. Later on in the fight, I used ranged ramping to get me guaranteed accuracy for my status effects, and then I stacked potency, or I could just stack attempts rather than potency. I could just do it more than one time. It would take longer, but I wouldn't need to get lucky. Not that I needed to get lucky, but I wouldn't have to use ranged. But it's a lot nicer to have that reliable accuracy. You only have to do it once. Potency makes it a lot easier too. You only have to do it once. So I'm a huge fan of the Dex Lean for nigger stat builds, and you're not just limited to ranged weapons that inflict status effects, but you can also use armors that deal damage with ranged attacks. Deal elemental damage or deal ranged only damage with range lock skills like H series rockets or Fey Knight's energy version. And now the boss is going down. So all in all, pretty technical kill, pretty unique stuff. I haven't seen anyone else really explore this type of thing to this depth. We haven't really had a boss where you could explore it to this type of depth before. Just finish her off with the Gatling gun. Yeah, we'll finish her off with the Gatling gun. No need to get too crazy. Well, maybe we won't finish her off with the Gatling gun. I should have known. We'll finish her off with the damage over time. There we go. And that's the kill. Again, I'll just summarize. I like being able to stack status resistance. I like using Kindred in the way it was intended, stacking up the charges in the fight and then using them to burst the foe through a critical window. That critical window being her SP bar. I couldn't damage otherwise. I thought it was great fun. Again, the dex ramping lean lets you do all kinds of peculiar things you wouldn't normally be able to, and items that lock attacks to ranged let you use all kinds of status weapons you wouldn't normally be able to. That being said, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Have a great day. Spread some peace and love. Bye bye.